How do nonprofit founders make money? Let's get into this one. Hey y'all, this is Tiffany with Boss on a Budget. So I help people start nonprofits and raise money for their new nonprofits. And I'm going to talk today about how you as a founder can make money, because this question comes up a lot. So make sure you watch this entire video, because it's some important things you need to understand about running a nonprofit that is different than running a for-profit. So you ready? Let's get into it. The first thing you got to understand before we talk about anything is that a nonprofit is not your personal business venture. So that means you don't have any ownership rights to the nonprofit, and you're not entitled to any money that the nonprofit makes. So this is something you have to understand before we get to anything else in this video. And you may be surprised to hear that. If you are, I'm linking another video above to help you understand a little bit more. And also, if you just need help working through these issues, I have created a membership society for new nonprofit founders so you can get help navigating through these kinds of things. I'm linking that below, or you can just comment, I want to join, and I'll send you the link in the comments. But here's the thing. You are not entitled to any profits that the organization makes. There are no shareholders when it comes to nonprofits, and any money that's made as an entity is for the entity. It's not for individuals. That's the first thing you got to understand. So given that, what are ways that you can actually make money off of your nonprofit? Because I know a lot of you are putting your own personal money to finance your nonprofit, which is one of the reasons why I teach people how to fundraise early and often, so that you don't have to have a lot of your personal funds invested in the organization, more so than anyone else. I just want to pause here because I know some people may be confused by what I'm saying. As a nonprofit founder, you should be donating to your nonprofit. Your board should be donating to your nonprofit. I just mean that it should be in conjunction with a lot of other people. You should not be the only one financing your nonprofit. And for those who feel like I shouldn't be talking about how people can be paid from their nonprofit, I just want to be clear that if your organization is going to grow to the level where you need staff to execute your tasks, people have to get compensated for their work. And so you need to be able to make money to be compensated for the time that you're putting in. Now we can go back. So I'm going to go through 4 ways you can make money as you're starting a nonprofit, so that you can understand how to still finance your life and be able to afford to live, as well as launching your nonprofit. So here's the first no-brainer. It's to work a job alongside your nonprofit. One thing you got to understand as you're building and launching your nonprofit is that you still need a steady source of income for yourself as a founder, because any money that you make, it doesn't necessarily mean that you can just funnel it back to your bank account, right? So the first obvious way is you need to be working. You need to have a steady job and steady income. If you think you're getting into this so that you can be paid like this is like an LLC or this is like a business venture, then I want you to shift that thinking, because when you finally do become financially sustainable, which in most instances it takes years, then again, you're still not entitled to the money that's made. I'm going to share how you may be able to have access to some of that money, but I wanted to say this first because a lot of people may be mistaken because they have a dream and they want to jump right in. Make sure you have a steady source of income and make sure you have a job. Here's the second way. Have a for-profit business alongside your nonprofit business. So I talk to a lot of people on the phone and they tell me, Tiffany, I have a for-profit and the money from the for-profit is going to help finance the nonprofit. And yes, that is one way your nonprofit can make money, but it cannot be the single source of income for your nonprofit. If you are designated as a public charity, you need to make sure that you're getting money from multiple sources, not just one. That's just a little tidbit you need to know about. But another way you can make money as a nonprofit founder is have a steady source of income through another for-profit business. And a lot of people like to do things that are similar. So say, for example, you are a psychologist and you have your own private practice, but you want to also create a nonprofit where you provide mental health services for people who can't afford them. That's like a really simple example where you can have a for-profit business on the side, but still offer and still do that work as a nonprofit. But here's the thing. Again, that doesn't mean you're entitled to money from the nonprofit. It's just that you're doing similar work. You also want to make sure, just for yourself, there's clarity between what you're doing on the for-profit side and the nonprofit side. So when they're too similar, then your clients may get confused. And Also, if the IRS sees that you're doing something that's not necessarily charitable, so say you just wanted a nonprofit practice and you were just serving people in general. It wasn't for a charitable reason. It wasn't for any reasons that are met in the federal tax code for 501c3 status, and you just wanted to create a private practice. The IRS may see that as just a regular business venture and won't approve that. So you just got to make sure that what you designate for your nonprofit actually has a charitable purpose if it's similar to something else you're doing on the for-profit side. I hope that makes sense. But that's the second way. Have a for-profit business, whether it's related or not to your nonprofit's mission. You can have a separate business, and that can be one way that you're making and earning money as you are starting your nonprofit. Here's the third way you can make money as a nonprofit. You become a staff member of the organization. And this is the main way that you can make money from a nonprofit that you've started. So just know that in order to get paid for your nonprofit, you have to earn it. So that means you have to be designated as an independent contractor or an employee of the organization. Now, there are rules around independent contractors versus employees. I've gone over that in other videos. I'm linking one above. But just keep in mind that if you want to become the chief executive officer, right, that's the highest position for your organization on the staff side, just keep in mind that your board has to appoint you. They have to select you to that position, and they have to set your compensation. You cannot hire yourself. You cannot pay yourself, right? So that still has to be done in partnership with the board of directors. That's not something you can do on your own, but that is the main way to be paid from your nonprofit. So how much you're paid and the duties that you have really do depend on what's decided with the board. And also just keep in mind, as the executive director, you are appointed into that role. But if you are in other roles, you may not necessarily need to be appointed by the board. But naturally, that's one of the first roles that you're going to hire for your nonprofit. So it just makes sense that, and most founders actually fulfill that role if they want to be an employee of the organization. So it just makes sense for you to be in that role. But just keep in mind that that's really the main role that the board actually appoints. And then the other staff positions in the organization are usually overseen, and the managing of the hiring of those people is done by the CEO, by the chief executive officer. So that's the third way to work as a staff person, to be an employee or an independent contractor. There also may be rules around conflicts of interest, which is why your board needs to be a part of this decision making. There are a lot of things you need to consider before you just assume that you can work for your nonprofit directly. Here's the last one, and this is the most interesting one that I just want to share with you, especially if you're frustrated at this point in the video and you feel like, I'm putting my sweat and tears and my money into this nonprofit and I can't even see some of my money back. I just want to be honest and real that that's a real feeling, and there's nothing wrong with feeling that way. You work so hard and you deserve to be compensated for your work. Not to say that you're in this for the money, but people deserve to be compensated for the level of effort that they put in. That is okay to say. I just had to say that on camera. But one interesting way that you can make money as a founder is actually not being employed with the nonprofit. Now stay with me on this one. So it could be that the launching and the start of your nonprofit is a part of your personal brand that you're building. And as a result of you building that, you're building up a name for yourself. And by building up a name for yourself, you're able to market yourself in a way to get money and to get paid in other ventures. So I'm gonna break this down. I'm gonna give it like a really simple example. So maybe you started a nonprofit in a field that a lot of people didn't understand, or you talked about something that a lot of people weren't talking about. Maybe it's something like in the housing arena in your area, and you uncovered a lot of what people didn't know about the housing industry. So as a result of the work that you're doing with your nonprofit, you decide to write a book. And in you writing that book, you get recognition for that, and people want to hear your perspective. And a lot of that has to do with what you've learned and what you experienced with starting your nonprofit. But it's not just that, but your own experience that you bring to the table about what needs to be done about this issue. So people start wanting to book you for speaking engagements, or people want you to come and train on housing issues in other areas and how to problem solve other issues around the country. So you're getting paid by doing that. And part of that is because you started this nonprofit and you have the experience of starting a nonprofit, but it's not necessarily getting paid by the nonprofit. but it's a part of your overall brand and your overall strategy to make money as an entrepreneur. First of all, I'm providing an idea and the things that I've seen, but any specific tax or business advice, you need to consult a tax attorney, a tax professional, just to make sure that the decisions you make aren't conflicts of interest with the organization that you've created, and just to make sure you're going about this the right way and doing your due diligence. But people are actually out here thriving, having started a nonprofit, and don't even necessarily work for their nonprofit. They may be on the board, but they're out doing their own for-profit ventures and getting paid to speak and all that kind of stuff. And again, if you're serving on the board, or if you're still affiliated with your nonprofit and making money based on your experience with the nonprofit, just be careful about decisions you make to make sure there are no issues of conflicts of interest. And when issues of conflicts of interest do arise, you make sure you disclose that. That's supposed to be a process in your business anyway, in the nonprofit. So every year, make sure you're disclosing any potential conflicts of interest so the board can handle that, because you don't want any sense that something fishy is going on, for lack of better words, and you want to keep on the up and up. So just make sure that you cross your T's and dot your I's with that. But I did want to bring that up. A lot of people don't necessarily talk about that, but you don't necessarily have to work for your nonprofit to be able to make money and that be a part of your overall brand and strategy. That's not for everybody though. Not everybody who starts a nonprofit wants to be a speaker. I'm not even saying that that's the only route. There are other things you can do based on the experience of building your nonprofit, like training that doesn't require public speaking necessarily, but it could be more so intimate. And again, if you write a book, that doesn't necessarily require that you have to be out there like that. But if you're going to market yourself, you need to be out there. So I just wanted to provide an idea of how to make money with your nonprofit. This channel is to help you be creative. This channel is to help you understand all the possibilities of working with your nonprofit. If you need more help hashing out what your strategy should be, you can join my membership society where I help nonprofit founders raise money for their organizations. If you want the link to join the society, just comment below, "I want to join," and I will send you the link. If you need help with starting a nonprofit, you can visit me at bossonabudget.com. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.